talking about coffee today, and you might be thinking, what does coffee have to do with Christianity? A lot. We're talking with the co-founder of Talitha Coffee Roasters, and I'm so excited to share and dive into her story about freedom from exploitation and how she and her company are bringing freedom all around the world. Let's talk about it. Hello, ladies and gents, and welcome to this week's episode of the Bought and Beloved podcast. As always, it's your girl, Kirby Kelly, back at it again. And I'm super excited for today's episode, not just because I have an amazing guest, but this guest has co-founded a coffee company called Talitha Coffee Roasters. Don't know if y'all have ever heard of them or not, but I've actually heard of them way back when I was in college. And the fact that they've reached out to me and I've been able to get connected with Jenny Barber has actually been so cool. And I'm really excited to have her here today to just share her story about how she is a survivor of exploitation and just how the work that she is doing now is impacting the lives of other people who are just affected by so many things that we see today in exploitation. And yeah, we're just going to talk about that. We're going to dive right in. But Jenny, can you give a quick introduction to the people who don't know you, who don't know your company, and just maybe some things that make you, things that you're passionate about, all that good stuff?
Absolutely. Thank you so much for having me. I'm really excited. So I am Jenny Barber. I have been working in anti-trafficking for about 15 years now. And my husband and I have been side by side through all of that and just really kind of jumped in full force as young adults. And as we were starting our own family, I come from a family that has been affected by exploitation. So it's something that I've seen from a really young age, and I was affected by exploitation from a young age. And so for me, it was something that affected me and something that I knew I wanted to see my children find freedom from. And just the course of my family line, I wanted to see a redirecting of all of that and also create pathways of hope for other survivors. So my husband and I have worked in all different areas of trafficking, so prevention, awareness, outreach, all of that, which has really led us to this point of pioneering nonprofits and businesses to help in this fight.
I love that. And you co-founded Talitha, correct? I
Yes.
just want to make sure I'm saying it right. Coffee Roasters. But it's more than just coffee. And that's what I love about your company, because it's making an impact in the lives of those who have been affected by trafficking. Can you tell us a little bit more about that story, about your life story, and how it has led to this moment of this being a pain point and a passion for you specifically to see other people walk in freedom from that?
Yeah, absolutely. So, like I mentioned, it was, something that I saw and I was exposed to as a child. And just growing up, it was a reality that I was very aware of. And I would see, people who had just almost like these hooks in their lives. Like it was something that they couldn't break free from. For me, I really, as a young adult and as a child, I had these ideas in my head of this is the value that I bring. I don't know if I bring anything else to the world. And that was something that I really struggled to break free from. Exploitation was such a sneaky thing in my life. So having this be something that I was exposed to from a young age and experienced as a very, very young child. And then growing up, even I was adopted at the age of 6, but it was something that continued to, almost come after me. And it would show up in many different forms. There's so many different forms of exploitation. And I think a lot of people don't realize that. I think a lot of people think of exploitation and trafficking, and they think of somebody who's being kidnapped and thrown in a trunk somewhere and, harbored, which is absolutely true and correct. But there's other areas, there's familial trafficking. There is, trafficking that's happening through relationships and just very strategic grooming. There's online exploitation that's happening, and even corporate corporate exploitation where people are being lured in thinking that they have a different job, a different opportunity. And so for me, I had many different facets of that really came and affected me personally. And so, hit a breaking point at 18 years old and really completely found freedom in my life. And at that point, I realized that I wanted to do something different. I was very tenacious. I was always really tenacious and had a lot of grit. And I'm like, I'm going to make a different pathway forward. And I want to do that for other people as well. And so, my husband and I jumped into anti-trafficking work after doing a trip to Thailand. We were on an overseas trip and had been asked to help kind of spearhead some outreach efforts in the red light district in Thailand.
Wow.
And that was the first time he saw trafficking. So he saw a young Thai girl sitting on an American married man's lap, and he realized this is something that is breaking down families. This is something that is an attack on family. And for him, that was the thing that really he had this moment of like, I can do something here. So that's when we decided to jump full force into this. And we moved down to Los Angeles, and we're a part of pioneering outreaches in some of the darkest places in LA. We actually got to travel the world and help other organizations pioneer their outreach efforts and things like that. My husband started roasting coffee in 2015. He started with a popcorn popper on our stovetop, and
cool.
it was such a funny thing. And we're like, we'll see if this works. And then had friends come over afterwards, and they're like, wait a second, this is actually really good. So he started graduating to larger machines, and then was like, hey, I could sell this coffee on the side to just help fund the work we're doing. So he started doing that, and I continued leading people out onto the streets, sending teams all over, and started getting really frustrated because we would see this pattern of women leaving the streets, leaving pornography, leaving the strip clubs, and going through recovery and having all of this healing, and then they were coming right back to us. And they were coming with a really clear message of like, don't try to leave. There isn't any hope. Like, there isn't any opportunity. This is all that we bring to the world. This is our value. This is our purpose on this planet. And I was watching this happening. And for me, as somebody who had overcome so much, I was recognizing those words that were coming out of their mouths. And I was like, no, I don't believe this, because I've found hope in my life, and I've found a different course and a different direction. And my kids are not affected by exploitation at all, right? Because there was just a turn. And so, I'm having all of this frustration. My husband comes and he's like, frustration's an opportunity, Jenny. You have those moments where you're like, yes, absolutely. And then you have moments where you're like, stop, like, driving me crazy.
Literally.
So there was a bit of this was like a journey, right? So I'm like, yes, I hear you. But he came and he said, what if we take what we bring to the table and we make a difference? And I think a lot of people don't realize that it's that simple. And so for him, he said, let's take coffee and let's bring transformation. And so we started our first coffee shop in LA in 2020 at the height of COVID, which was wild. And yeah, it was quite crazy. But we realized in that we could hire a few survivors in that context, but we were feeling really drawn to the idea of being a part of this phase of the anti-trafficking movement. We wanted to show up and say, what can we do to like bring our mark, our contribution to the reintegration of survivors and as they rebuild their lives and all of that. So we actually reached out to a longtime friend who I had met when I was 18 and asked if he would help us build a business plan that was scalable. Early on, we had been friends and we'd done some overseas trips and things like that. And he went the business route in life, and I went the nonprofit route. And he
Yeah.
had a strong desire to create businesses that were highly impactful and highly successful. So I asked him to help us build a scalable model. He asked if I wanted to hire 5 or 10 survivors. I said I want to hire at least 1,000. And
Come on.
and so he was like, I'm all in. And so he completely pivoted his life and joined us. And in 2022, we made our first acquisition of a coffee company, going from 300 pounds a month to 10,000 pounds a month overnight. And
Whoa.
yes, and so since then, we have scaled in like massively. We've acquired 4 other roasteries. We have 9 cafes operating under different names across San Diego County, really proving out that concept. We have a coffee training institute. We have a machine maintenance and repair company. And as
Wow.
we were really modeling this out in San Diego, it's something that we want to take across the states. We have 3 focuses. So first and foremost, we hire survivors. Every position we have is offered to survivors first. We have our coffee training institute, which is open up to the public and does really high level coffee training to cafes and even people who want to make coffee at home. And then we scholarship those classes for survivors. So as they're building confidence,
Wow.
building resumes, we just meet them in that journey. And then we have a comprehensive care network for survivors. So collaborating with others. We believe that we can see an end to trafficking, but it's only going to happen through collaboration. So we
Hmm.
partner with organizations and experts bringing support, legal services, therapy, housing, all of those resources to really make sure that we're offering something that's comprehensive to really build opportunities for hope.
That's incredible. And I love that the mission isn't just let's get these people out of these situations, but it's let's equip them and walk alongside them in their healing, in their transformation, in uh, gaining skills that maybe they never had the opportunity to have so that they can go and make a living for themselves, so that they can go and be integrated in the world that maybe they were robbed from because of the situations that they were in and the circumstances they were a part of. So I think that's really beautiful that it's a very holistic approach. And it's more than just a coffee bean that we can enjoy and like a drink that we can enjoy, but there's something really impactful happening here. One of my best friends works for an anti-trafficking organization nonprofit here in the Dallas area, and she does a lot of their like graphic design and a lot of the promotional stuff. She's always communicating the information, and the stories that I've heard from her of just how it's not just the like taken narrative, but it's something that can be so little and so common that people don't even realize it's happening around them. And so I think it's also really great that you're kind of explaining that, hey, trafficking isn't just like this one way that we assume it to be, but it's so many things, and it's more common than we think here, even in the United States. And so I think it's great that you're bringing awareness to that. But I'd love to talk about specifically the brand. It's called Talitha, and it's derived from Jesus' words in Mark 5:41, which means, "Little girl, I say to you, arise." And so I'm wondering, how does this scripture resonate with your story and with the message and the hope and even the values of the coffee company?
Yeah, I love this scripture, and we actually had somebody on our team. We were really wrestling, like, what do we call this? And
Yeah, that's a
we'd
big thing.
we'd bounced around so many different names, and just were wrestling. And one of our team members came and was so shy, but said, "I have an idea. And just showed me, like, why don't we call it Talitha?" And it was like, I can't even explain that moment of being like, oh my gosh, of course, like, this is it. And for me, that verse personally resonates so much because that's where I was at in my life. I was in this place of absolute death and destruction, and it was a miracle that I was still breathing. and had just had all of this brokenness, all of this hurt, and was feeling just absolutely at the end of myself and at the end of hope, and just even wondering if there was a pathway forward. And that is what I felt like the Lord really spoke to me in that moment was, little girl, arise, like get up, let's go. There's something on the other side of all of this brokenness. And the promise also is that he is so faithful and so good that he takes all of that brokenness, all of that hurt, and he weaves it into something incredible. And I just love that. And so this is exactly what we want to see in the lives of survivors, coming from this place of death and hopelessness and destruction, and seeing them rise up into endless opportunity. We have so many different stories and cases that come our way, but we have seen, single moms come and not barely know how to navigate a computer, and now they're preparing to go to university, and we've seen people come and just have a dream for, like, what would it look like to become a leader in the nonprofit space, and now they're doing it. Just different scenarios where we are calling people and creating opportunities for them to come out of death and rise into hope. So yeah.
That's incredible. And I think that when people think about trafficking or any other issue that seems so big, it can almost be like intimidating to think, how can I have an impact in this space?
Right.
Like, how can I go and make a difference? Like, maybe there's a girl or a guy listening where it's like, that is what I want to do. I want to impact these
Yeah.
people. Or maybe it's a completely other subset, a completely other group of people who are oppressed and are in need of the saving hope of Jesus, but also saving hope in their real everyday life and situation. Do you have any encouragement to that person who's like, I have this burden, I see this need, I want to be a part of it, but like, what can I really do? Because it's like you've been able to create a whole nonprofit out of this that is impacting the lives of hundreds of individuals. So like maybe for that person who just feels like they are one in 7 billion and what can I really do? What words of encouragement or advice do you have for them?
Yeah, so my husband and I think you look at our lives and it's so, there's so much passion in like everything that we do. Our kids, we have 6 kids, and they are all so very passionate and strong leaders. We're a good time. But one of our like side passion projects is that we actually love to, walk with people and develop people, and see them discover who they were created to be, and see them discover what they're passionate about and launch into that. And so we always have people in our lives that we're running with in that capacity. And what I've learned through that is it does not matter who you are. Like, you can do something that is beyond yourself. You can be a part of a greater story. Like I mentioned earlier, it was that moment where my husband said, why don't we take what we bring to the table and make a difference? Why don't we be a part of the solution that, to the problem that we're seeing? And I think, there's things that are put on our heart for a reason. Everybody has something different, that's burning in their heart, and something that they could talk about for hours, or something that, really riles them up. And honestly, if you're feeling that, you're probably called to be a part of the solution for that problem. We have seen so many amazing scenarios with this. So we have seen grandmas that are like, I want to be a part of the solution. What can I do? And we're like, well, why, what do you love to do? And they're like, I don't know. I'm really intentional. Like, I love to write little love notes to my grandkids and things like that. And we're like, well, why don't you write little love notes for the women on the street? And, we would go out on the streets and hand out gift bags and like talk to them and just meet them where they were. And we had a lot of really amazing relationships with these women. But we're able to say, like, hey, in that bag, there's actually a love note from a grandma. And the impact that would make
Yeah.
was just incredible. Or like, kids that were survivors knitting scarves for women on the streets and things like that. Like, hey, this is actually made for you by a survivor that found their way out. And it's just a
Wow.
reminder for you that you can too. So people can bring whatever they take, right? And bring it to the table and make a difference. I am probably like looking at my life, I had every odds stacked against me. My husband as well, like he has a very different journey, but same. Like he had every odds stacked against him as well for why we should not succeed. And
Mm.
if God can take us and do incredible things just because we have a yes and we're willing to show up and make a difference, then he can literally use anyone. So I think that that's the
Literally.
thing. I think it's just having a yes. Like what is your yes? What are you giving your yes to? And what are you going to, bring to the table in that? Maybe it is. We run a nonprofit. Talitha is a for-profit. So we have both worlds that we're very active in. And the thing I love about coffee, one of the reasons we chose coffee is it's something that brings everybody to the table.
Yeah.
It is one of the most consumed beverages in the world. I will admit that there are some days that I drink way more coffee than water. But it brings people to the table, it draws people in, but we're also creating a way that people can be involved in this fight. Like simply by changing where you buy your coffee, you're literally transforming lives, because every dollar that we raise goes towards this effort and is actually bringing real transformation to real lives.
And I think that's just a great way for people to practically get involved in something like this. Like, let's say that, I mean, your organization is just one of many that I can think of where it's like maybe you have a heart for global missions in this area and seeing clean water in this nation, or seeing women who are in trafficking find freedom and actually opportunity. It's like there are organizations out there that you can also give your yes to, and you can be a part of the solution even in that way. Like, if you can't go to a certain place, your dollar can.
Right.
Like, that's something that I've heard said in church a million times, but it's like it's true though. And I think that your organization is living proof of this through even just some of the testimonies that you've sprinkled throughout what you've shared with us today. And so for the people who do want to get involved, like, I would encourage you, yes, give your yes, like make it known to your community, because maybe there are other people who share that dream and vision with you that you can partner with. But also there are organizations out there that are already doing the work that you can join and be a part of. And Talitha is an incredible example of that. And so, for the people who do want to check out your coffee and check out everything that you're doing, where can they purchase it? Where can they even read up more about like your stories and everything that you're doing? What are all the links that people can check out?
Yeah, so people can follow us on Instagram at Talitha Coffee Roasters. We also have Talitha.com is our website. And yeah, just follow along the journey. We have so many different ways that people can partner with us as well. So
Mm-hmm.
we have affiliate programs, we have programs for nonprofits or experts that want to get involved and, bring services. We have partnerships for businesses that want to become impact businesses and serve our coffee or promote our coffee and that type of thing, and get involved on the impact side of that. And then subscribe. You can go to the website and subscribe so easily. You can get coffee to your house. You could get coffee to your house daily if you needed to. But you can get it, as frequently or infrequently as you want to. It's really easy to adjust your subscription. We also have wholesale. We have an incredible wholesale program where you
Amazing.
can get anything and everything related to coffee or tea that you need to in order to bring that into your business. So many different ways to partner. Follow the journey, I would say, on Instagram, and then on the website, it's very, easy to shop and get engaged or partner.
I love it. Well, I hope to all the Christian entrepreneurs out there, you are inspired that if God has given you a cause that you are passionate about, that you can actually make a difference in the lives of others in more ways than one. Yes, the dollars that you can donate, but also the opportunities you can bring other people. And if you are like me and you're like, I'm doing what God has called me to do, but I want to support organizations like this because I care and the Lord cares, then, grab a cup of coffee, grab some beans, give it to a friend, give it to yourself, drink it every day. Because there's so much that we can do to see practical change, biblical change in the world, because we are called to be the hands and feet of Jesus. And I'm just thankful for people like you, Jenny, who have been able to experience freedom and are just opening up doors of opportunity for other people too in more ways than one. So thank you for your story. Thank you for doing what you're doing. And to everybody out there who's listening, go check them out. I will link everything down below. And yeah, I'll see you guys next time here on the Bought and Beloved podcast. I love y'all. And yeah, go get some beans. Bye. For more life-giving, faith-based podcasts just like this one, check out lifeaudio.com, a proud partner of the Bought and Beloved podcast.